This is the Widow Podcast, and I am Karen Sutton, the Widow Coach. I'll be supporting you through the loss of your life partner so you can find a more positive way through your grief. I want to give you hope after loss and to know that when you are ready, you can create a meaningful life for yourself with the help of me, Karen Sutton, and the Widow Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Widow Podcast. This episode is coming out on Monday, the 20th of May, 2024. And when I realised that I had an episode coming out on the 20th of May, I thought, do you know, this has got to be about Simon. It's his birthday. And I'm recording this podcast a few days ahead of his birthday. And this is the 8th one that we will have had without Simon. And it's so strange. It's such a weird feeling that so much time has passed since he's died. I remember his first birthday so well. Simon died in the September, and his first birthday was the following May. We'd been through Christmas and New Year, and myself and the girls, we'd all had our birthdays. And it was a big one. It was much worse for me than any of the other days. And I think for me, that was because his birthday was all about him and he wasn't here. Whereas when it was my birthday or the girl's birthday or Christmas, there was something to hold on to. There was a focus point that got us through the day. But on Simon's birthday, I didn't have that. He wasn't here. And I didn't know what to do with the day. And it hurt. It hurt so much that he was 43 when he died. I was 39. I'd just celebrated my 40th birthday, and he would have been 44. And it just felt like too much to take. And I wanted to lock myself away initially. I wanted to just hide from it. The build up to the day was bad. And then the day itself was awful. It really was awful. And I kind of wanted to just hide. You know, when things got bad, I had a tendency to withdraw a little bit and pull back, because I didn't really know how to describe how I was feeling. I couldn't make sense of it so much for myself, let alone trying to describe it to others. Now, I guess I was very lucky because my family, my mum, my sister, my dad, and friends scooped me up and said, "Come on, let's go to the pub and let's raise a drink and toast Simon." And we did. And it's weird, isn't it? Because as much as being with others doesn't make it all better, doesn't make the pain go away, suddenly solve all your problems, I think sometimes it's just recognizing that being with others, being loved, being supported, it brings us some comfort, even if we're not necessarily able to recognize that comfort in that moment. And it still just feels so unbearably painful. I do truly believe that in those moments when I was scooped up, when they came to be by my side, it it absolutely helped me get through those days, those moments, those times. And it would be very easy to pull away from it and just say no, I'm okay. But I didn't, I allowed myself to go, and I know not everybody has that, and I know that's not necessarily an option for everybody. But if you haven't maybe got that support, I would 100% recommend getting out there and finding it and introducing yourself to people that get it. Joining support groups. Mine, my membership, it's an incredible place. And, it's full of widows who get it from all over the world, all different ages, all different circumstances, all different situations, all at different time frames. There's no judgment. It's such a safe space where people feel held and safe and supported. And it's wonderful. And some great friendships and connections have been made through my communities. Whatever you can do, whatever you can find, get out there and meet those people. But thinking about Simon, and who would he be now? He would be 51 this year if he'd have lived. What would he look like? Do you know, like, we change, right? We're getting older, which is great, and it's a privilege. And a lot's happened since he died. Over 7.5 years. And who would he be now? Where would we be now? I often think, like, how would our relationship have evolved? I always like to think that we'd have made it, and we'd have grown together, and we'd have had great experiences. I don't know that. I don't know what would have happened had he lived. It's really bizarre thinking about the person that died, and how, because they've died, they stay there, don't they like, Simon will forever be 43, and he will never be any older than that. And I don't know what that would look like. So it's very hard to try and imagine how life would be had this not have happened. Earlier on in my journey, I absolutely felt so strongly that I knew what life would look like, because I was closer to it. And, he could have come back and slotted right back into our lives, and we could have carried on. And that's what I wanted. But now, so much further down the line, I'm in a new relationship. I have Andy now, and that the girls are so much older. I can't imagine. It's such a weird, surreal feeling, because as your grief evolves, you can't imagine ever getting to this point, or being comfortable getting to this point at the beginning, because you then kind of think, well, what does that mean if I don't know where they'd fit in my life anymore, and I don't know what that would look like if they were still here? What does that mean? Does that mean I'm a bad person? Does that mean I'm not grieving properly? Does that mean I didn't love him enough? Just, there's so many thoughts that go through your head. And I kind of go, for me, it doesn't mean any of those things. It means that at the beginning, I made a promise to Simon. I remember going to see him at the funeral home after he died. And I remember saying it as well at his funeral. I wrote him a letter and I read out the letter. And I felt so determined, and I felt so strongly for myself and for him that we were going to figure it out. We were going to find our way. We were not going to become victims. This was not going to be the thing that knocked us down and that we couldn't get back up from. We were going to live, and we were going to love, and we were going to continue to do the things that we wanted to do in our lives. And when I think about those promises I made, I kind of go, I feel like I'm doing that. I feel like we are still finding our way, and I think we'll continue to. That's life, right? We will continue to keep finding our way, and things will come up, and it will be harder sometimes than others. That the girls are going to leave home and go to university and graduate and travel the world and get married and have kids. I hope, I don't know, but so they're going to do some of those things. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And his absence is going to be really felt and really sad. And that will continue to be. And there are times when I just desperately want to talk to him. I just desperately want answers. I want to know what his thought would be, because I don't know anymore. The children were 9 and 5 when he died, and we did talk about them growing up, and what kind of parents we wanted to be, and what kind of humans we wanted them to be. You have all those discussions, don't you, as parents? But actually experiencing it and living it and going through it, and how much the world has changed since he died. Like, so much has happened since he died. I I don't know anymore. And I'd love to just have those conversations that go, well, tell me, I would love to know your perspective, your thoughts. He was always so wise and so thoughtful. But I can't do those things anymore. I have to hold on to the fact that I am doing my best, and the girls are doing their best, and we are living. Life isn't perfect. I don't strive for perfection. It can't be. Um, Life is sometimes hard. Sometimes I don't feel great. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing very well. Other times I feel on top of the world, and I feel like I'm conquering amazing things. Um, I don't have all my shit together, but who does? Who does? There are times when I show up and I'm not particularly proud of how I've showed up. There are choices I make that are questionable, but I learn from them. And I'm just trying to do my best. And I think that's enough. I think that's okay. And the fact that, we miss Simon and we talk about him most days, it's not always in pain. And that's okay too. And actually, I'm quite proud of us for getting to that point. I always remember being in a widows online support group in the early days. And you've probably heard me talking about this before, but coming across posts from widows that were kind of saying, I'm 8 years in, I'm 10 years in, 12 years in, and it's still as painful as it was on the day that he died. I'm miserable. I'm never going to be happy again. And I cry every day. And, no judgment. That's their truth. That's their story. I'm not here to judge or criticize. But I absolutely knew that was not going to be my story. That couldn't be my story. That was a huge driving force for me. Like, reading those posts, I just thought, no way am I going to be saying that at 8, 10, 12 years in. And I'm not. it's not as painful as the day he died. I don't cry every day. I'm not miserable. I haven't been unable to find joy and love and amazing things in my life. You know, my life is rich and I feel safe in the world again. And I feel loved and supported, and I get to experience brilliant things, and I get to spend time with amazing people. And for the most part, I'm at peace. You know, I have blips and I let things go, but I've worked hard this year to get back on track. The end of last year was really difficult for me, and I've kind of had to pull it back together again, because that's what we do, right? It kind of ebbs and flows, and we just keep going, and we just keep trying. And I'm really proud of the fact that that hasn't been my story. That hasn't been my truth, because I couldn't allow that to be. Now, it took a long time. It took a lot of work. It's been one of the most painful but purposeful journeys I have ever been on. And I think I have allowed myself to embrace it, to allow myself to see the possibilities as a result of Simon dying. And that can feel really uncomfortable depending on where you are in your journey. At the beginning, I'm not sure I'd have felt there were any possibilities or opportunities for me, or that I wanted to go on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. But I have, and I did, and I'm grateful for it. And I think Simon would be thrilled that that was the path I chose, and not the path of not being able to find my way again, the path of being held in a place of deep discomfort for a lot longer than I needed to be there for. And I do believe it's a choice. I do believe it's a choice. I think there are things that obviously impact each of our experiences in different ways. And absolutely, we all have different challenges to face. But I do believe it's a choice. It's a choice that you make to find your way through it, to rise, or to stay in your grief because you believe that's the only way. Maybe you believe that that's how you stay connected to your person, and how you continue to love your person, and how that should be after they've died. There are many reasons why we make the choices we make. Sometimes we're not particularly aware of them. Sometimes it's just we're telling ourselves stories and we get stuck in our own heads. And this is what I love to help people work through in my 12-month program, Finding Hope, because you know, we have to rewire the brain. We have to fire those different neurons together, and allow ourselves to think differently, to show up differently, to be different. And yeah, it is very different, but different doesn't mean bad. Different is what you make it. And I feel that I am making and have made the best of the reality that I find myself living. Like I say, not perfectly, not brilliantly, and I've made some mistakes and done things that maybe I'm not particularly proud of along the way. But that's okay too, because I'm a human and I'm not perfect. And I feel. And do you know what? Simon lives on. He lives on through us. He lives on through the girls. Like, I mean, as they grow, they're 17 and 13 now, and they were 9 and 5 when he died. And just how I see him through them, it's a beautiful thing. And how he continues to shape us, and the conversations that we have. And, you know, the girls, as they get older, they get more curious and they ask more questions. I don't always have the answers, which makes me sad, but I share what I do know and I share what I can, and we have some wonderful conversations. And we miss him, and we all miss him in different ways because it's affected us all differently, and it's respecting each other's journeys, isn't it? And it is, again, doing your best. And I want to remember Simon and celebrate the life that he lived and the legacy that he has left, the impact he has had, and how he has shaped our lives. And that's much easier for me to do now. I'm able to do that because I've done a lot of work, because I've found my way. And yeah, sometimes there are tears and sometimes it hurts. But most of the time, I remember him with love, with a smile on my face, with gratitude for everything that he was and continues to be in our lives. And I don't know what I did to deserve him for the amount of time that I had him for, and all of the wisdom that he imparted on us. But whatever it was, I'm glad. I'm glad and I'm grateful. And one day, we are going to meet again. And we're going to have the best conversation, because I'm going to tell him about all the things that we did and we experienced, and how he helped us to do those things. And it's going to be a beautiful moment. I don't know if that will actually happen, but I like to think it will, so I'm going with it. Choose the good story, right? Anyway, happy birthday, babe. And thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If you would like any continued support on your journey, please do come and join us. We have a wonderful membership, and I even have some day events coming up in June. I would love you to come and join us when we get together as widows. It's a beautiful thing. It's an empowering, uplifting, wonderful, healing, and hopeful experience. And I would love you to come. I would love you to come. We are in Sheffield on the 8th of June, and we are in Watford on the 22nd of June. And there are going to be workshops, and we're going to have some fun together. You know, we're going to sing. We are going to connect and share and grow, and you will leave with new friends to support you on your way, and with tips and tools and strategies to help you navigate your grief, so that you too are able to get to a place where you can remember your person with more love than pain. It's worth it. I promise. Hopefully I will see you there. If not, I will see you again very soon. And thanks again for listening. Take care. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Widow podcast with me, Karen Sutton. If you would like to be part of a supportive community of people who understand your grief, come and join my free Facebook group, Widowed and Rising. And make sure you tune in to the next episode of the Widow podcast.